Remember 2 years ago, Murphy's daughter, Lucy, was born with blue skin, sharp teeth, and nothing like a normal child? At that time, Murphy thought that it would be too dangerous for his daughter to be with him, so he left Lucy at a house they passed by, where a couple lived.
Raise her?
Eventually, for safety, Murphy turned the couple into blends and ordered them to take good care of Lucy on his behalf. But as time flew, 2 years passed, and Roberta accidentally learned Lucy's address. To develop a vaccine to save the world, she instructed Addie and Doc to go find Lucy. After driving thousands of kilometers, they finally arrived outside the house. Upon their arrival, they saw a little girl with blue skin playing with zombies. My God, could this be Lucy? She's only 2. How could she be so big? Before they could recover from their shock, a man outside the house raised a gun, and they had no choice but to flee in panic. Luckily, the man seemed to be lame and couldn't catch up immediately.
I won't hesitate to shoot you. Lucy needs some new friends.
They were the same couple from back then. Lucy followed them, curious about the strangers, so she gestured to her mom and dad not to shoot and to bring them in as her toys. Doc and Addie were tied up inside the house, and Pa Kettle started interrogating them about their origins.
I'm Addie, and this is Doc. We started up in New York, a small survivor community upstate. We had water and solar power.
Well, easy. Now, I told you not to play with us. There's no way anyone could make it here from New York.
No, it's true. We're traveling with Murphy. We're part of his mission.
Hearing her father's name, Lucy's pupils dilated. Listening even more intently, the couple's wariness did not diminish. They kept asking about their purpose here. Doc and Addie were stunned. They couldn't just say they were here to take Lucy for vaccine research. Luckily, Addie reacted quickly, immediately saying they were sent by Murphy to take Lucy to California for a father-daughter reunion.
That is Lucy, isn't it?
I helped deliver her.
You talked to the great man himself.
Well, I don't think I'd call him great. What I meant to say is I wouldn't describe him as just great. No, he's amazing.
Only after Doc said this with a guilty conscience did the couple relax a bit, and the barrel of the gun was lowered.
Yeah, he asked us to take him to California.
That's a long trip. That must be at least 100 miles.
It's a few thousand miles.
Wow! That's really far. Are you a princess?
What's going on? How come Pa Kettle lacks even the most basic common sense now and can even act coquettishly? The swift change of scene was indeed shocking. Ma Kettle explained on the side that the words just now were all said by Lucy. This also showed that Lucy could easily control the blends. Addie then asked the question in her mind. Why does Lucy, who has only been 2 years, look like she's 7? Pa Kettle said lightly that the child grows faster than her peers, especially when she is emotionally excited. The growth rate is even faster, and no one knows the specific reason. Since Mr. Murphy sent you, then say the password, otherwise you are imposters. Addie and Doc were instantly dumbfounded. Where would they know any password?
Mr. Murphy said he might send someone to get her one day. Gave us a password, so we'd know they was the real deal.
Oh, right, of course.
Oh,
Yeah, the password. Addie, remember the password?
definitely. Go ahead, tell him the password.
Smurf.
Doc could only make up one, and after saying it, they closed their eyes, waiting to be shot. They breathed a sigh of relief. Did they really guess it right? Their luck was just too good. Pa Kettle took out a knife and walked behind Doc, preparing to untie him.
Glitch in that is the wrong password, and you're a lying son of a gun about to meet his maker.
Hold up, Pa. Hold up.
Yeah, don't do anything you're gonna regret.
What is it, Mom?
Turn his chair around so he's facing the other way. That way his blood won't spray on anything.
Wait, Murphy must have given us the wrong password. Can I try again?
I knew that story about New York was pucky.
Listen,
Settle down, you.
I'm telling you, this is a big mistake.
Addie had no choice but to say to Lucy, "Do you want to see your dad? If something happens to Doc, we won't be able to take you."
I want to play with them.
Oh, honey, I don't think that's a good idea. I think these two mean you harm.
No, play!
Since Lucy had spoken, they naturally wouldn't go against her wishes, so they reluctantly untied them. After all, Lucy is just a child and doesn't know what a bad person is. She immediately took Addie outside to play games. She also said she had many friends, pirates, knights, and tea-drinking companions. Addie thought it was just the little guy's imagination, but when she came out, she was stunned. They were all zombies dressed up, looking quite the part, but she and Doc can't be immune to zombies. Playing with zombies, they could be eaten.
Honey, listen, I don't think your friends are gonna like us very much.
Yeah, that's right, sweetie. The zombies are dangerous to us.
No, they're not.
Whoa! Now, Lucy, we're not like you. They think that we're food.
No, they're my friends. Tea time!
Sweetheart, wouldn't you rather...
Drink.
After all, Lucy has been playing with zombies since she was born and naturally assumes everyone is the same. Later, Lucy proposed to play hide and seek and asked Doc to cover his eyes and seek. The ridiculous thing is all the zombies started hiding places after Lucy shouted start. From here, it can be seen that Lucy's affinity with zombies seems to be even stronger than Murphy's. 10 seconds passed quickly, and Doc opened his eyes. These zombies were hiding too clumsily, but he wouldn't go looking for zombies. Mainly, he was looking for where Lucy was. Doc carefully observed in the yard, and suddenly, laughter came from behind a tree. It turns out she was hiding there. He never expected that what rushed out was a zombie. Doc didn't act but just stepped back a little by little. Unexpectedly, he tripped over a chair and fell. This zombie's bloodthirsty instinct was clearly activated, and if he didn't fight back, he was afraid he'd become the zombie's food. Luckily, there was a stone nearby. Doc picked up the stone and smashed it on the zombie's head. Finally, the zombie was killed. Addie heard the call and ran over, with Lucy following behind, happy to come over and ready to start again.
Do it again! Do it again! Come on, Annie, get up! What's wrong with her?
The child had never seen a zombie treated kindly, so she didn't quite understand what happened. Lucy sadly ran into the woods. Addie worried and followed closely, and Pa Kettle also followed them with weapons. Without Lucy's deterrence, these zombies, smelling the scent of living people, gradually approached Doc. He wanted to run, but Ma Kettle pointed a gun at him, indicating he should honestly go inside the house and not resist in vain. And when Addie and Pa Kettle chased into the woods, they couldn't see Lucy anymore. They had no choice but to suggest splitting up. A 2-year-old's emotions are also short-lived. Seeing a pink flower on the roadside, Lucy simply squatted down to study it. But at that moment, footsteps came from nearby. Like always, Lucy calmed down the zombies that came out and even ordered the zombies to take her home.
I want to go home now. Take me home. I said take me home. No! Bad zombie! Bad zombie! Bad!
I'm no zombie.
This wasn't some zombie but a wild man starved to the extreme. Hearing the scream from afar, Addie immediately realized something was wrong. Lucy must be in danger. Lucy panicked too. This was the first time she encountered a zombie that wouldn't listen to her. With a cliff behind her, she had nowhere to go.
Get away from her!
Lucy was like a niece to Addie, who had watched her birth. How could she possibly allow anyone to harm Lucy?
You won't do what I say!
It's not a zombie, it just looks like one! I won't let her hurt you!
The wild man's strength was unexpectedly great, putting Addie at a disadvantage. But fortunately, she picked up a wooden stick from the ground to use as a weapon to fight back. At this moment, Pa Kettle also arrived, and seeing Lucy unharmed, his suspended heart finally settled down. After this incident, Lucy fully trusted Addie and immediately proposed to follow her to find her dad. The couple had no choice but to help pack the luggage. After all, they were essentially servants and couldn't go against Murphy's and Lucy's wishes. Of course, they could see that Addie and Doc were indeed Murphy's teammates. At this moment, Lucy seemed to have thought of something.
Tell me about my mommy. Tell me! Tell me! Tell me!
Well, I guess we should start at the beginning.
Now was Doc's time to speak up. He had witnessed the entire process of Serena and Murphy getting acquainted, and he began to recount the story. Of course, the memory in his mind looked like this. But when Murphy and Serena's story reached Lucy's ears, the picture she imagined was this. Her mom and dad were a king and queen living in a palace, very happy. Doc talked about this past experience for a whole hour, but he didn't mention that Serena had already died, instead telling Lucy that her mom loved her very much. As he spoke, Lucy fell asleep sweetly, smiling at the corners of her mouth, perhaps dreaming of reuniting with her mom and dad. Even the zombies outside were influenced and smiled, but no one noticed an additional figure outside the house, his left hand in a black glove emitting a mechanical sound. He was standing outside the window looking in. The next morning, the sunshine was bright, a perfect time to depart. Doc packed the things into the trunk, and Addie buckled Lucy into her seatbelt. Today, they were heading to California, but after everything was ready, they didn't see Pa Kettle and Ma Kettle come out to see them off. Perhaps too heartbroken, reluctantly, Doc went inside to check, but it was empty, not a soul in sight. Even their inseparable weapons were left on the table. Where had they gone? Then Doc opened the back door and stepped into the yard, only to find the couple sitting not far away, seemingly truly unable to bear parting. As Doc approached, he comforted them, assuring that he would take good care of Lucy and they needn't worry too much. But as Doc got closer, he realized they were tied up with daggers stuck in them. He quickly untied them and vigorously shook the couple because Blends wouldn't die if their heads weren't injured. Unexpectedly, upon waking up, the couple immediately became furious, loudly berating Doc as a liar and threatening to kill him, leaving Doc completely bewildered as to what had happened.
You led him straight to it!
Who? Led who?
After blocking the door, Doc then rushed out the front door calling for Addie, but instead of seeing Addie, he found traces of blood on the ground. It was definitely bad. Indeed, Addie was lying next to the car with a clear injury to her forehead. Thank heavens Addie woke up but was still dazed. Doc hurried to check on Lucy, but just as he reached the rear car door, he saw a familiar face in the rearview mirror. It was the man. The man must have followed them here.
Lucy! You're you bald-headed son of a bitch! Lucy! We'll find you!
Without a car, Doc couldn't possibly catch up to the man. Doc went back to check on Addie, who had likely been hit in the head with a blunt object and was now suffering from a mild concussion, still not fully recovered. Just then, Pa Kettle and Ma Kettle came running out, now thinking that Doc and Addie had led the villains here, wishing they could skin them alive. Doc looked at the weapons far away. The only thing he could grab was a flare.
Hey! Over here!
Pa Kettle charged first, but without his firearm, he was no match for Doc and was taken down in one round. Seeing her husband dead, Ma Kettle, driven mad with grief, furiously lunged at Doc.
Up! Get up!
Just as Doc was about to give in, Addie finally came to her senses and rushed over. Killing them was a reluctant choice, as the couple had gone mad, and showing mercy would only lead to their own demise. Half an hour later, Doc had treated Addie's wounds, although Addie was still weak. Now was not the time to rest. They had to find Lucy back. Addie said to Doc, "We need to find help. Didn't we pass a radio tower on the way here? You have to go back there, contact Citizen Z, tell him what happened here, and then have Citizen Z find a way to notify Roberta for rescue." Meanwhile, Addie decided to chase the man alone on a motorcycle. If she could save Lucy, all would be well. On the other hand, the man was driving the car farther away, with Lucy sitting in the back, incessantly asking questions without a hint of being kidnapped and scared. After all, Lucy was only 2 years old and didn't understand what a bad person was.
What's wrong with her head? Why is it all shiny like that? You should wear a seatbelt, you know. Mom will probably shoot you if you don't. She likes shooting things.
Unable to bear Lucy's incessant talking, the man directly used an electric shock device intended for adults, hoping to knock Lucy unconscious. But what he never expected was...
Do it again! Do it again!
This time, the man increased the voltage, and black smoke even came out of Lucy, but she laughed even happier.
Zombies are my friends. They listen to me. The next time he stops, they're gonna come out of the woods and bite your face off.
Will you shut up?
I want my Aunt Addie!
see her again because she's dead.